everybody, and welcome to the Biggles Breakdown. My name is Biggles, and I am joined by Swiggity, Jay Swiggs. What's up, Jeremy Swiggs?
Howdy, I'm sorry.
You're sorry? What are you sorry for?
That you're stuck with me.
Oh, well, I forced you to watch this show, and now we're here. All right, so for those of you that...
He threatened to give Skizzles my home address.
I did threaten to give him Skizzles his home address and his phone number, which he already has. So I understand that some threats are made best with giving Skizzles pictures of Swigs, which works well as well. All right, so now that make-believe threat is gone, so Swigs, you're married, right?
Yep.
So how much of this romance stuff actually happens? Because I've been forever single. You know, I don't know any of this shit. So nothing but muted because Swigs. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I believe it. All right. So so Swigs, as a married person, how much of this romance stuff actually happens?
Each one's scenario is different, but yeah, as long as you got the fun goofing around with each other and enjoy each other's company, that kind of thing, yeah, that's kind of relatable.
Has your wife ever carried you in a phone game?
I don't think she plays games.
Oh, well, there you go. So this whole thing is a lie. No matter how cute it is, it's lies. No wife carries you in a phone game.
But this show is a different generation than me and her. I'm old.
Yeah, Swigs is actually 72 years old. And I don't know how he puts up with me when he's 72 years old. He's got remarkable ability to keep going, I guess. So I've also read the manga before we did this. I literally just finished the final chapter, which is the wedding scene. So basically, I started watching this because on the Biggles Anime Spork, the Biggles Anime Spork show with Sporking, that is no longer around. Every now and then he'll come on this show now, and we'll do something together. But we were like, yeah, we need to find some stuff, because one day we just started talking about voice actors, and because we basically didn't watch any new anime other than like one episode of something, or I watched the same anime like 3 times. And I just thought the show was adorable. So what was your original thoughts when you watched this?
Well, I watched a few other ones of this type, unlike you just said, but I would say the one thing that I think that this one made different was the whole obviously the title of the Pseudo Harem thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's kind of original for a cute story, and then plus pulling off of the joke of the harem stuff, but there's not really one. It's all just her acting, so it kind of all blends together. I think that's kind of original. I haven't seen that before in the other shows.
And I do like that it's not like just a whole bunch of different actual girls, because usually when you get a harem, either the guy is like super perverted in it, or he doesn't understand like any of the girls like him, and then he's
completely clueless, and it's like you should at least pick up on that a little.
Like Asta is so focused on like Sister Lily and Black Clover that like the 4 girls that like fight or that want him, he's like, Sister Lily, who can't get married. So it's nice to have that like he actually notices. And so it starts off with the beginning of the show the beginning of the story is what episode 1 is called. And in the manga, the very first scene where they meet is actually chapter 100. So you don't actually get this chapter or this thing till like 400 pages later. Because the chapters are only 4 pages for some reason. So like chapter 100 is the actual start of the anime. And I think the anime does a really good job of taking the anime and or taking the manga and actually making it so it tells a cohesive story. Because okay, let me ask you this: does this feel like a story, or does it feel like it's skits?
There's a bit of a story in there. What kind of got difficult with the tell was, I mean, at first you're trying to understand when she's acting and when she's really feeling the way she does. But
Mm-hmm.
I kept thinking of that. I'm like, it kind of jumps around, not like skits, but their interactions, and it's like, okay, when are they acting, when are they not? But then if I started thinking about it towards the end of the series, is that um it kind of blends into the story a bit, because you know how towards the end, like, he even said that he wanted to just date her
Mm-hmm.
because he felt like because of that, she knew that he only cared about her, and she got
Mm-hmm.
so mad about it. She's like, these things that she acts like are her now,
Uh-huh.
like, that she did for him. It's like something fun that she always did, but now that's kind of turned into a little bit of her personality, like where she lets it out. So
Yeah, and so in the manga it's more skits, and in the anime it feels much more like a story, like they actually put it together, and like there's a lot of extra uh chapters that are like little scenes, like the cat cafe, or when her sister is with that little kid, or Lazy Chan, right? So like all these uh all these characters, and like there's extra stories, and they're actually in chronological order when you actually watch them in the anime. So it's a lot more put together in the anime than the manga. And then the coloring that they use in so I got a bunch of pictures that I'm just going to like scroll through real quick before we go back to that. um, so we have like great use of coloring, and I don't know if you noticed, but for certain characters, I think that's spoiled. No, I think that's Imchan. So like for certain characters, like it's really colorful, right? That's normal Rin, as you can tell. So like Sundere uh, Chan, she has like a yellow. Like usually when you see her, there's yellow around. Um, and then this is Imp-chan, or Chiki-chan, according to the manga. She usually has like a purple. Uh, I think they're going. That's when she first says she loves him. I think in like as like a, or he says he loves her, but like as a, but he's like talking to like one of the characters. And then I think this is spoiled Sean based on the colors. So like they use, oh, and then I have this one where remember the episode where he's sick and she takes him home and she helps him get changed, but like it doesn't show that, and he's like more like naughty Sean, and I thought that picture was
oh
hilarious, so
yeah,
I got that.
he's like, how did I get in these pajamas?
And then this is Rin. He drew Rin because he likes drawing exaggerated features. Oh wait, I'm going back the wrong way. And then I just like how like embarrassed she gets about like everything. And then she like got the button, stuff like that. So I think it's pretty funny how or not pretty funny. I think it's pretty cool how they use different colors to like help you know which character she's playing. Besides like the little hair, like the twin hair for Sundere Chan, or like impish, she'll kind of be like, she does like different emojis or emotions. I guess they're not emojis, but yeah.
No,
So go ahead.
I was gonna say one. I don't know if you were gonna ask it, but one thing about the story. I know it's only 12 episodes, but I feel like there wasn't a hardship other than him, leaving school.
Yeah, so basically so unlike all other romantic comedies, there was no real fight other than episode 10 and 11, right? They make up pretty quick. Uh, this actually takes place over 9 years. Like the story takes place 9 years. By
Oh,
episode,
it is? Yeah,
yeah,
the anime is only like what, 2 years? Oh no, well if you add in the whole, I didn't like that part at the ending where he's like, oh, whenever I'll I'll follow you later type of
when
thing.
when he said so that whole thing was he wanted to marry her, but he didn't want to get in the way of her acting career. And obviously, he's in the drama club and he's a stagehand, so he likes working on sets. So that would have been the career he chose, anyways. So he just worked extra hard so he could ask her to marry him now that they're back
yeah, but
together on the same level.
he could have had long, if they were that much committed to each other, they could have had a long distance relationship or something, not just sit there and like, oh, I'm gonna let you go and I'll see you in like what, years later. I'm like, what the heck? You lost out on so much time. And this one, that's the one thing I didn't like, is like this
So,
seemed more like it was like a realistic. I'm not saying that some of the other ones aren't, but it's just a basic thing. So it's like, you're in the same field though. Like,
mhm.
why wait until you're completely ready? Nobody's ever ready to have a relationship with someone.
But okay, so that's also just an anime thing. There's like 2 chapters where they actually see each other between the time, so they're still kind of talking. But the whole thing is, if they're spending all their time together, then he can't get to where he needs to be, where he can work with her all the time as well. So
Yeah,
he
well, they
was
could have kept the relationship going. It would just been,
well.
um,
That's why neither of them got other relationships. So they had this whole thing like planned, and they I don't know. I guess because I'm never in like a relationship, I don't understand. Uh, but I thought it was cute. Other than that, but yeah. So back to episode one. So episode one actually starts in chapter 100. And then they're sitting down talking, and he's like, I wonder what it would be like to be popular, like to have my popular phase. And she's kind of like, a harem, and she just does like a character because what up, Crimson Law? Because basically they they're in the drama club, and they're going to act. So she really wants to be an actress, and this kind of helps her along the way as an actress, because she's constantly playing other characters. Um, and then when we get to episode two, there's kind of like a little confession scene that uh, they like each other. Um, I forgot exactly how it went.
that was
Um,
one. I think that was another thing. It's like that scene where they told each other how they really feel about each other,
mhm.
and they just totally left that out for like 2 episodes. They didn't actually show what was said.
Yeah, I know. So,
So it's like you don't even know that they were actually dating. You're like, okay, they're admitting that, they're have this back and forth that it seems like they're actually dating now, but they never actually said it, and you have to wait like 2 episodes
so they
to
don't
find out
start.
that they had already started dating.
So they don't actually start dating till second and third year, which is like after episode 5, I think.
Yeah, but remember
Um,
when it was snowing and she said she had to tell, and he said he would listen intently?
uh,
Yeah, they didn't show what was said there until like episodes later.
so I think that's like a cultural thing, when you think about it, because Japan is more like courting, and like we're not. So like their relationships in Japan take longer. We're here like we're just like, all right, I'm in a relationship
There
after
was,
like
I do have to
after
say
dinner.
one thing about this one that I thought was nice compared to the other ones, is that there wasn't any um, sexual tension type in the show. It was just a sweet, getting to know each other and spending
Yeah,
time with each other type show.
Yeah,
which
and
you don't even in the
uh,
nice ones, you kind of get that type of joking or something like that in these animes, and this one didn't have that, so I thought that was neat.
now now in the manga, there's 3 chapters that kind of hint to it, and they're completely taken out of the anime because I think the people that were working on the anime kind of were like, yeah, this kind of changes the whole thing. Um, but it's like, so when they go to the musical, right, which I think they're actually watching like West Side Story, if you pay
Yeah, they
attention
done
to
West
it.
Side Story. I think they did Grease. No, they did. Dang, I'm trying to remember all the ones that they did. So West Side Story
I definitely
wasn't the
saw West Side
best.
Story.
There was another one. Oh, what's the one with Darcy and Elizabeth? It was the Jane Austen.
Oh, Mr. Darcy's something.
No, no, no. The show. It's Pride and Prejudice. That's it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. Um, yeah. So well, that was so they did Romeo and Juliet. So no, when I'm talking about the musical, I think the musical was West Side Story that they went to go see. Uh, but yeah, in the plays they did the Mr. Darcy. I saw that, which I didn't know the name of that show or movie.
Yeah, it's a popular um story. I mean, the lady written several different ones that are popular, but that's like the number one because I think even Keira Knightley's done a version of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know Miss Martin Muses talks about it a lot, so she definitely likes Mr. Darcy. Um,
Yeah, Pride and Prejudice is a major popular chick flick or
there,
story.
there you go. See, I wouldn't know anything about it. Um, and this is like outside of what I usually watch. I just watched it and I thought it was kind of adorable, so I kept watching it. And it's probably one of my favorites of this season. I tried to watch another one, but it got like super like I couldn't watch it anymore because he started talking about another man's wiener size. So I stopped watching it completely. I was like, nope, I'm out. I can't watch this. And then I went back to this show and rewatched it, and I was like, yep, this is a feel good anime. I enjoy it. I don't have to listen about that gross stuff. So I was like, yep, let's go. So Rin's laugh is like my favorite thing about this show. Anytime she laughs, I am just all smiles. I don't know why. I just am. Is there something in this show that makes you really happy, Swigs, or no?
Um,
You can say no. It's okay.
no, I mean there's several things. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, her reactions to him when she's happy. I mean, it's not just the laugh, but she's got different faces.
Uh-huh. Or when she's like singing, she's like senpaiskos, 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 and she's like dancing, and then
Oh yeah, like she was that when he walked in and she was just watching her and she was embarrassed.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of real. I do that to my wife all the time. Like I even did that. She wasn't singing, but she always talks to herself, and I kind of just it will stand off to the side till she notices me, and then she's completely embarrassed. She did that
uh,
today too. I saw her outside waiting on the kids, and I'm like, is she on the phone? Nope, she's just sitting there talking to herself, and I'm just standing at the door.
so so you know how I really don't like the sister trope where the sister wants to like do the brother.
Oh, I've seen one where this. Oh, it's not always.
Well, the
I don't
sister
think it's always
sister
that
one
they
was weird
want
too.
to do them. I think a lot of it is just they're really obsessed with their sibling and
Yeah,
don't think anyone is good enough for them.
it's creepy.
Well, no,
But
yeah, at times it's creepy, but yeah, I don't think every time is that they want to like
it's creepy.
physical, but it's like yeah, you're way too clingy.
So in the second episode, like EG finds out that Rin has like a little sister, and he's like, I wonder what it would be like to have a little sister.
Yeah,
And,
what I was saying. It's like it didn't come across like he's being creepy on it. He just like wanted to know what it'd be like to have a sibling like that.
yeah, yeah. So he did it, and it was like it's it's not like or he goes, you don't have to be in like elementary school, like stop it. And like so she like does an older one, but then in I think it's episode 5, they go to the pool, or is it episode 4? Whichever episode they go to the pool, he's like, Bryn, your swimsuit looks really cute. And he's been pretending to be like the older brother to like his little or her little sister and her little sister's friend. And he like compliments her and he goes, okay, that just sounds creepy because it sounds like I just like hit on my sister. Bad timing. So I was glad that like his harem didn't include his sister character. That was just.
I actually saw one where the younger sister had the complex on her older sister.
Well, yeah, that's Noko Noko.
Yeah,
my dear friend.
My dear friend Nokotan.
that show's fucking crazy. Like nuts. But maybe we'll talk about it, but not now. So episode 3, we get the little scene where like where he's like building the stage and she's like on it and it's like wobbling. And one of my favorite parts of that episode is like the president of the drama club is just like looking at them like, what are you doing? And then like she like falls and he catches her. Or wait, no, that's like her fantasy, I think, or his fantasy, one of the two, where they're like, oh, I could catch her and like save her or something.
Oh, that was her. It was like, what kind of? I think he asked her what kind of, since she does all the fantasies for him, he's like, what is yours? And she put that scenario out, and so then they started acting it.
And then she was like, "Oh me!" And she like started freaking out because it started shaking. And he's like, "Stop it! I can't help you if you." Yeah. So that part was
he
really
always
funny.
showed up. He always showed up for her plays all the time.
Yeah. So, way late into the game, like, so I think that's also like the first time. So I put a bunch of notes on that I'm not using. I had like a whole bunch of notes that I was going to talk about, but I haven't opened it once. So I had a note which episode that he like actually starts, where you can like actually tell that he really likes her. No, that's not the right notes. Where are they? Let's see. So it's actually the umbrella. So it's episode 4. So in episode 4, when they're walking under the umbrella, in the manga, he's carrying something and she's the one with the umbrella. So they share the umbrella rather than they both have umbrellas. But this is where you first start realizing that it might not be like more of like a one-sided relationship, because the story is told through her point of view. If you pay attention, it's more from her point of view, and we know it's from her point of view because in episode, is it 10, where he's like, or no, I think it's the start of episode 12.
Well, not all the time, because there's times where he's just hanging out with his friends in college.
Well, so okay, so those the scenes with him and his friends are all extras in the manga. So they're not part of the main story. They're just parts that they wanted to tell about him. So it's in the anime, you don't know that because everything is animated. But in the manga, the story isn't about him, it's about her. And that's why when you see like in the main story at episode 10, where he like or I think it's episode 10, it might be the beginning of 12, it's one of those two, where he's like, yeah, I've liked you since the beginning when I first saw you act. So it's like he tries to play it cool, right? And he's actually so smooth. This kid is smooth. Yeah. I know he gets embarrassed, but this kid is so smooth.
He's like, I'm the group president.
Yeah, I'm the group president. It's just like the beginning of the story. And then they're like, are you messing with the newbies again? He's like, yeah, but it was just like the beginning of the story. And he's like, he's such a weirdo. right? But but the when he gets her phone number, right? When he gets her phone number, it looks like she really wants the phone number, right?
Oh, that she wants,
He's
yeah,
like,
that she wants us to give him her phone number.
he's like, I can't find my phone, dude. Okay, so here's my phone, right? We got my phone right here. Pretend there's a table right here. I'll hold this up, and this will be my table, right? Right behind me. There's my phone. It's literally on the table right behind him. He turns around, picks it up, and goes, "Here it is." So he's like, I lost my phone, but his phone was right behind him on the table. And she was like, he's like, Sundere-chan can do it. I can ask. And I really love how she goes into different characters when she's having trouble like expressing herself. And with being able to pretend that she's this other person, she's able to get her feelings out. Do you notice that too?
Yeah, that's what it kind of helped her.
Yeah, so I actually really like that. And there's 2 times, like in the school festival one, right here, the first date, right? Their actual first date. She's afraid of the dark. And he's like, you know what? Cool-chan would like ghosts and stuff. And she's like, I'm so not scared. And she's trying so hard to be like Cool-chan to deal with it. And I think in episode 4 or something, or maybe it's 3, where she's afraid of thunder. And he's like, no, I think it's 4. It's 4 because there's the rain. Okay. So she's like, she's afraid of thunder. And he's like, you know who wouldn't? Cool-chan, right? So he's like trying to he sees when she's like struggling, so he'll be like, oh, you can play this character,
But then she flips it on him all the time, and he's like, oh, Imp-chan, that's not fair.
I know. He's definitely weak to her characters. But then there's the pool episode. Do you remember what she says to her little sister when he's trying to hide from her?
No.
Okay. She traumatizes those 2 little girls. She's like, he swam so much that he melted into the water. You're holding his nose.
He's like, I'll put them back together and send them your way.
Don't worry, I'll put him back together. Or don't worry, I'll gather him up. And I'm just like, she just did that. These little girls are like, oh, so there's another scene that I really want to talk about. Can you wink with both eyes?
You mean blink?
No, can you wink with both eyes? Like your left eye and then your right eye. Okay, so I can't blink with my right eye. And when I try to blink with my right eye, I like open my mouth just like she does in the show when she's trying to learn how to blink. I'm like, I can only blink with my left eye, or I can only wink with my left eye. I can't wink with my right eye. And when I try, like, I gotta like open my eye. Like I can't do it at all. Here, let me go full screen on me. Like I can only wink. Oh, like
you can't.
But I can wink with this one, but when I try to, you can't do it. It's impossible.
Yeah, I can get both.
Yeah, I can't. And then I open my mouth just like she does in the show. So I think it's kind of funny. What do you think of Iji's mom? What do you think of his mom?
She knew before they did.
She's like, oh?
Well, she's technically like, before we knew. Because like he said he liked her since he saw her first act.
Yeah.
But she knew what was up. Except the part was, dude, so her reaction whenever she was so nervous, she was like, yeah, but I it's fine when I do all the harem stuff for you. She's like, What?
She's like, EG? Like she went to like smack her son down. But she was like, my mom really likes you. She's always already calling you Rin-chan. She's like, I want you to call me Rin too. And he's like, Rin, and he's like, no, I can't. Like, I love how embarrassed they both get. It's just super fun. What do you think of the president of the drama club? Do you like the president of the drama club?
He seems like a football player, but yeah, he seems pretty cool. Like he even knows what's going on with them, and he just lets them do about what they're doing, just goofing around.
Yeah. So in the very first episode, right, like you see her starting to do the things, like the characters, and he's just watching. Like he like saw her like snap at him a little bit because she was doing Tsundere-chan, and he's like, okay. And then like when they're having the eating contest, and she's like, let's see, he wouldn't do this, and she's like, so it's B, and he's like, that's EG's, and she goes, yay, and like starts dancing, and he's like, shouldn't I be celebrating? And the president's just like, well, that didn't work. And then she's like, she does like a thing, and he looks over at like Sue, I think his name is Sue. And he's like, oh, that's just a character she does, or that's just an act she does. And so they know about it. One of my favorite characters in this entire show is the little sister.
I'm surprised with how young she is that she just walks around wherever she wants to go.
Well, apparently in Japan, like once little kids are able to walk, they get sent to go to groceries and stuff. So that's why they're way more mature than like American children. Because
at least American children now. I used to be 6 and walk home.
Well, I mean, were you going and buying groceries and picking up groceries at 6?
On the way, I'd go to pizza joints and get myself something to eat. Used to go to comic books store right after school.
Okay. Well, you are like 70 years old already, so it makes sense. You didn't have rules back then. By the time I was a child, I like had to be home if the lights were off, like, or if the street lights were on.
Well, there's that. I wouldn't expect that she'd have to sit there and not be home for that.
But yeah, so she's like a first grader that walks to school, and clearly the school is around the block, because when he picks her up, he's like, it's right there, and he's like, my lady, it's not that far. Like, this isn't driving thing. And then she's like singing the song, and then Rin has to sing the song, and she's so embarrassed because she's in front of EG.
He never got to hear her sing though.
I know. It's great.
He said one day he wanted to hear her singing, and I was like, okay, she's gonna sing for him.
Yeah, she never does. I think it might be in the manga, but I don't remember. And like, you see like a pop star version of her in the ending credits song, but you never see that character. So I kept thinking that character was going to show up one of these days, but they didn't. So one of my favorite scenes in the entire anime is where he calls Rin to like set up their date, and she answers the phone, and he's like, Rin, you sound different.
He had a whole long conversation. I think I have the wrong person. I thought they were going to do that little cliche, like, oh yeah, but this is what you said you wanted to do.
Well, the funny thing is, she's like, Anya-chan wants to see Angel Jewels or something, or yeah.
He's like, well, what does she look like right now? She's in sweatpants.
Right. Well, she goes, her hair looks like the sun exploded. Yeah. And he's like, oh, explosion, right? And she's like, and her tummy's showing. And he's like, can you cover that up? I don't want her to get sick. And he's like, oh, like his head's like blowing up from like thinking about it. And he's like, you know what? Since I have you on the phone, do you want to come with us? So their date became like a babysitting date, you know?
I think that was a different time he ended up taking her because she wasn't there when they went out.
Well, they went out before the phone call. So it was like they were setting up like another date. Um, then you have the bracelet then you get the bracelet. So let's talk about let's talk about the college thing first. Okay. So he graduates, right? She's now a third year.
Surprisingly,
Yeah. She's now well, yeah, dude, their test scores. Oh my gosh. They were all
like
bad.
how did they graduate?
Well, he said he was going to go to cram school, and so he basically started learning everything so he could teach her, and we just don't ever see that anymore. So that's how he passed. It's because he learned really hard so they can study. So there's a lot of stuff that's missing out in the story that we don't get to see, mainly because it's mostly skits in the manga, and they just kind of animated it in the anime. But so he gets to college, surprisingly, after graduating, which we didn't think he ever would. So he gets to college, and before college, they go on a shopping trip, and she helps him pick out what to wear. Apparently, it's so popular at school that there is a girl that asks him out on a date, and he says no. And he tells Rin about it because he felt bad that he turned this girl down, not because of he could have had a new girlfriend, but because she cried afterwards. So he felt bad because he made her cry, right? Because he's actually kind of sweet. If you've been watching,
Yeah.
he's actually kind of sweet.
But I thought it was funny but then Ren said that, oh, she's like, oh, I feel bad now too. And he's like, oh, okay, then if you feel bad, then I'm not so.
he's like, thank you. Okay. If you don't understand, if you don't know how to deal with it, and I don't know how to deal with it, I feel better because I felt like a jerk. So, so there's that fixed that. And then she's like, Senpai, I'm going to go to school with you. And he's like, all right, we'll just tell them that you're here for a tour. So they go into the class, and she starts seeing like the sporty girl, the pretty girl who's also in drama club. And they come up and invite him to, or ask if that's the girl he's been talking about, because apparently he never shuts the fuck up about her. So, so they end up talking and going to lunch, and they're like, yeah, he's not popular at all he does is goof around with the other two boys from their school. And she's like, oh, that's a relief, I feel better now.
Like,
right?
I'm glad he's not popular. And they're all like, yeah, he's not.
Yeah, they're like, that one girl's like, no, he's like the like redhead kind of girl, or like brown, like light brownish.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like a clumsy, annoying person.
Yeah, she's like, he's so annoying, and he just makes weird noises. And he's like, I don't make weird noises. She's like, just like that, like just like that. He
like, what about the fight you got in over the last pudding? And then, so he was like trying to show it off. He's like, here, you can have it.
And then she gives him back the pudding because she knows how much it means to him. So it's she's like, oh no. And then we get the reverse happen when they're doing Pride and Prejudice. And she's talking to Mr. Darcy, and he asks her to marry him, and he's like, he freaks out, and he's like, cut, and like interrupts the play. And she's like, Senpai, like, what's wrong? And then they have the thing. He's like, I guess I was jealous too. So now they both realize that they were both being jealous and insecure, but they're glad that they both are jealous and insecure about each other, because they're showing that they really care about each other, I guess.
Oh, she lucked out also whenever they turned off the lights during the Snow White thing, which I thought was weird, having the guy asleep.
Oh well, they did it because EG's useless. So you can't really see it unless you pause it and read it. But in the manga, it says a little bit more, and it's basically like try not to mess up. Like just find a way to be asleep. So basically, what they did was instead of her eating the apple, he's like, "Oh no, this apple's fine," and he eats the apple instead of her, and that's why she falls asleep. So she has to like figure it out. So they did it because he sucks at acting, and they wanted to make fun of him. So that's what it was. They were making fun of him, which is why they did it the other way around, and they wanted to show off her acting skills. So they basically did Snow White, but instead of her eating the apple, he ate it. And they're like, well, the only way to do it is a kiss. So they're all like looking at him, right? And she's like, in the manga, she passes out on the floor and then gets back up.
Oh yeah, and to get him into a character, he'd sit there and sleep during class.
Yeah. So I kind of showed the pictures for the love letters, so I want to go back to the love letters real quick. So the love letters was a big actual part of this. So he's like he checks his locker every day for love letters and he never gets one. And she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Love letters, right?" So Sundere Chan, I think spoiled Chan, and actual Rin write love letters. Or no, Imp Chan. Okay, so actually Imp Chan is first. So let's go to Imp Chan's. So Imp Chan's like, I kind of hoping your shoebox would stay empty forever. Like I don't want you to get anything because Imp Chan is like the mean one, right? And then Sundere Chan is like, you looked really desperate for love letters. That's all. That's the only reason. So don't get any weird ideas because you know how that type. Go ahead.
You forgot his smoothness, though. Remember, he was sitting there like, "Oh, I'm glad I don't have any love letters. That would just be too much of a hassle to try to fight everyone up."
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I should have brought that up earlier when we were talking about smoothness, but I got so distracted by like I accidentally shut off my notes, which that's actually in my notes. And then this is her like diving and grabbing the letter that she actually wrote. And in the letter, it was like, I'm glad I wrote these as these characters because I wanted to tell you these things and I wasn't able to myself. So I thought that part was actually pretty funny. And it was actually a really cute part of their relationship. And I actually really like that. So back to the episode 10, which is the drama episode, kind of. It's more, it's like the end of 10 and the beginning of 11, but we have the birthday. So Rin's birthday is coming up. As we know, he's been working as a delivery boy to get a present for
his friends ordered food.
Yeah, his friends just kept ordering food. So when you find out your friend is a delivery guy, you order food from that place all the time because sometimes they'll bring you extra food. So even though I hate Papa John's as a pizza, I mean it's better now than it used to be. But I used to hate it all the time. But my friend worked at Papa
John's. It didn't taste good at all before.
Yeah, so my friend worked at Papa John's, so he would just bring us like pizza. So we'd be ordering pizza from Papa John's, even though I freaking hated Papa John's, because we'd get like an extra pizza.
Oh, free pizza tastes better even if it is Papa John's.
Yeah, I know. So so we would get like extra pizza, or we would get like snacks that he'd bring. He'd bring snacks, and then he'd like eat a pizza with us, and then go to his next delivery. Like, so like when your friends are delivery people, you got to take advantage and just keep it like calling them, especially if like they're trying really hard to earn money. Helping out your friends is always a nice thing to do. And then what happened?
And then Sorry, I keep thinking of happy whenever that's said. And then,
hi, sir. All right, so and then so he's been saving up, trying to get her a present, and at first he's thinking, well, how am I going to get her something? Which character? And then she's like, you know what? I just want to focus on Rin because Rin is the girl I love. These other people.
You got to admit that gift was like, you saved up for that. That was like a string bracelet. I'm like, how much did that cost you?
Okay. It could have cost a lot more, especially because like it may be cheap for us, but it's expensive for them.
For string, the other stuff that he was getting for the other her characters that he was like, each one was like nicer, and he was getting multiple. He settled to get one gift for one person, and it ends up being like the cheapest thing.
So it probably just was drawn that way. It was probably more expensive. There was like the little thing, like the little part of it that was like right in the middle. That might have been like a different like material that costs a lot of money. But you also have to think of yen is way different than like here. Like 5,000 yen over there is like $36 here. So they're spending more money because their currency's not as good, if that makes sense.
Well, that's why we keep getting ripped off.
That could be it.
And I don't think they have yen. I think that's China currency.
No, Japan is yen.
They are?
Yep, they're the yen. And so he gets the present, right, that you think is super cheap, but she's like, I love the present. And he's like, I wanted to prove that I'm serious, so it's just for Rin. See, yeah, yen is Japanese. Boom. Look at that. See, I know my currencies, okay? Where was I? So he says he got this gift just for Rin. That's the only girl for him. And she's like, what? Like the part you talked about earlier, I am this person, right? These are me. They're all people, or they're all characters that are a part of me now. And then we get to episode 11, which is called The Love Triangle, because he goes on a date with Rin and she comes out of the dressing room as Tsundere Chan. And she's like, I'm going to make you fall in love with me. But the entire time they're on their way to the store to go shopping on their date, she's like being mean to him. She's mad. She's trying to like, she's doing all her characters that might make him crash, because he's like, no, like I thought this would show you how serious I am about you, like, and she's just like,
Do you know the weirdest thing of that episode though was the sitting in the parking lot in the back seat.
Yeah. So usually when you're in the back seat, other things happen.
Yeah, but it's like right after she fell in the water.
Yeah, so I don't know why that happened. And she didn't like or she did kind of have a change of clothes, so they must have got her.
Because it was in the new clothes she just bought, she got wet in, so she obviously still had her other clothes.
Yeah, so she probably changed back into her old clothes to get dry, but they were probably just sitting in the back seat talking because they didn't want to be in the front seat while driving, and it's easier to like be closer when there's not a gap in between the seats when you're sitting. So it makes sense that they could have gone to the back seat, because they were just talking rather than standing outside the car. So it kind of makes sense. And then he was kind of like chauffeuring her around when she was sick, and he wanted her to lay down and take a nap. So that could be another reason why she's sitting in the back. If that makes sense.
I know, but just it's still just sitting there. It's like, what else you got going?
Yeah, why don't you just go home together where your parents are? So the funny thing is, he never met her parents. And like at the end of 12 at the wedding thing, when he's like, "Oh, now will you marry me?" She's like, "You have to meet my parents." And it's like, you guys have like known each other for 7 years, and like you see each other on and off like while you're.
Well, that time he spent the night at her house, which I don't know why he needed to, but yeah, nobody was home.
Oh, so okay, so that was one of the scenes that got cut out of the anime, because she invites him over because there was going to be no one there, and he stayed the entire week. So he was there for an entire week. So that was in the manga, that wasn't in the anime.
Wait, didn't she also imply that her parents were divorced?
If they did,
I could have, or was that the acting thing? Remember that younger girl that was her junior, the one girl that was the acting. I don't know if it was the skit. While they were doing it, it seemed like the skit had stopped, and they were mentioning about how her dad married her mom.
That was the skit. That was the skit.
I wasn't sure because the way they were talked. That's what I'm saying. It's like if it was the dub version, they emphasize differently, so you can tell when the acting's done. It's just with the sub, it was kind of hard to tell when they weren't acting.
So they were reading lines, so you could tell by them having the books open, because the books are closed when they're talking to each other, like normally. Books are open when they're reading lines. Books closed when they're not. That's how you can tell. But yeah, I have a hard time with like sub, only because I have trouble differentiating voices. But yeah. So 12, we get his friend wants to make a short film. And they want Rin to be the main character of the short film. It's about Rin and Ichi's life, like how they fell in love. So she got to play a younger version of herself, even if it was only 2 years. And she got scouted by a talent agency because their short film broke over 1 million views, because of how good of an actress she was. And
you mean it wasn't him? It wasn't Ichi?
it wasn't him. He, and like Ichi even mentions that it was like, it's blowing up because of the huge difference between my acting level and her acting level. So there's all of that, and she's about to graduate from high school. And he's still in college. So he's got to finish college while she becomes a model. And they have a conversation. And this is when you get the "I've loved you since the beginning" line. Hold on. I need you to talk. Thanks for not talking, Swiggs, you fucking useless bastard. All right. So this is where you get the "I've loved you from the beginning" scene. And you get the you really get to see his side of the story as well as hers. And you see like them starting to grow. And he's like, well, you can't give up on your dream because of me, right? Your acting is important to you, right? It was your dream. Don't give up on your dream. And he goes, he's like, I'll catch up to you, I promise. And then we can go back on, right? And she goes, I want to make your dream come true too. Now, I also really like this part because I knew exactly what his dream was.
Anybody could tell what his dream was.
And I was like, you smooth motherfucker. Right? Just like, this kid doesn't know it because he's like, as they said, he's he makes a bunch of noises and he's annoying, right? But he has so much game. It's not even like I don't know. I don't know the word I'm trying to say. But he has so much game, and he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, wait till I catch up to you. And she's like, okay. And we miss a scene in the anime that's only in the manga. They kind of see each other throughout the time because they work in the same industry, right? So they see each other every now and then. And then when he finally catches up, this is now 7 years later. So 7 years later in the anime, they make it seem like 3 years, but I think that's 3 years after he graduated. Because I don't know if college is 4 years in Japan or if it's 3 years like all the others, but
they wasted 7 years. They wasted 7 years.
I mean, they still kind of talked, which is left out of the anime, but they still kind of talked, right? They still have each other's numbers. They just he was trying so hard to prove that he was good enough for her, because I think that's what it was, because he kind of, or everybody's kind of been telling him he's too good, and like he's been saying she's too good, right? So he wanted to prove himself, basically. And I think because they keep going through skits like, oh, I'll play the husband, you'll play the wife, right? And they'll be like, and he's always saying that he wants to be a good husband for her. So I think him catching up was like his way of proving that he would be good enough for her, that he can be a provider. So I think that's what it was. But in the anime, they leave out that they were still talking. And she like tackles him and gives him a hug, basically, and was like, "Senpai, all my co-stars fall in love with me." And she's like, "But I love you, right? The most." And they do the "I love yous." And then they get married, or then he's like, "My dream was for you to marry me." And she's like, yes, I'll complete that dream. And then she's like, "You got to meet my parents."
Gonna meet the parents.
And then they get married and it's over. And that's the end of it. So what are your overall thoughts on this? Go ahead and give me a summary, your overall thoughts on how you felt. And that's basically, wait,
Like
why
I
is it
said,
only me?
It was a nice, sweet story. It was a bit original with the whole her being the harem herself type thing compared to other ones, and him having to choose. It's like who he's going to end up with, but it was still sweet. It seemed realistic for the most part, except for the fact that there wasn't really any strife. But then hardship, like in most stories. But life doesn't always have to be horrible in every situation. But other than that, I thought it was a nice story. I don't think it really would need a continuation really after that, unless they try to experience, work and married life, and probably end up with, oh, we're having kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the end of the manga. So there's nothing left of the manga. The manga ended, I think, in 2023. So there won't be any season 2 or anything. So that is a complete anime from start to finish. And now I shall give my final thoughts on this anime. I love this anime. It's freaking adorable. Every time Rin laughs, I'm like, I can't help it but
His
be
heart
happy.
is a flutter.
My heart flutters. Right? My heart is a flutter every time she laughs. Her smile's adorable. I love every time she gets like red. And then even his his reactions to her, I think, are really fun. I enjoy this. This is probably my new feel good anime. I wouldn't put it above I Parry Everything for my favorite this season or this Yeah, this season. And then of course I love Fairy Tail, so 100-Year Quest is obviously my number one. And then I
Oh
parry
yeah.
everything. But
Well,
this
you
is
have to
in
admit that whole thing where Gray finally admits how
that
he
yeah,
feels about Julia.
yeah. So this is my third best anime of the season. Or yeah, of the season. There's some other good ones out there. Um, like I know everyone's obsessed with the theme song for My Dear Friend, but like I said, that show's freaking nuts. And then there's another show that's just uh, I had to turn it off. It ruined what was going on for me. And then I haven't watched Alia Hides Her Feelings in Russian, but that also has it
I've
fell
heard
off.
about that one.
It fell off hard. I haven't finished watching it, so that's good to know. And I haven't watched the Russian one, which I know has the sister thing that people are even making jokes like, Alia, you'll have to get past her parents, but Yuki, you have the same parents, so it's okay. They already like you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I hate all of you. So like I kind of don't want to watch that one, but I probably will. The sister is just trolling her brother. Yeah, well it's still too much for me.
That's why I kind of stopped watching that A Sister's All You Need, even though the whole thing, the story seems kind of interesting, but with all of them being writers for manga. But yeah, his obsession with wishing he had a sister is really creepy.
Yeah, well, I get that. I understand that that's probably what it is, but it's just some of that is just too creepy for me. Even if you're trolling, like if my sister was to do that to me, I'd probably punch her in the face. Um, even though I love my little sister, but that's creepy, you know. Um,
Turn it around.
be like,
Turn it around like darkness.
shut up, sister. Boom. Like it's just really weird and creepy, and I don't know why the Japanese love this brother sister thing.
It's weird. It's like you got enough relationship and weird and other stuff. Why do you have to put incest into almost everything? That's
I don't know.
It's weird.
It's creepy. But thank you everyone for being here. That is the end. Crimson Law and I are going to be on next week talking about I Parry Everything. So I hope to see you guys there. We are working towards 500 subscribers, and we have people watching my videos on repeat because we're almost at the watch hours as well. But pretty soon I lose a bunch of watch hours. So if we can get to monetization for at least members and super chats by the 8th of September, we're doing a 24-hour stream. So make sure to subscribe and watch something. I have like 600 videos, so there's got to be one thing you like there, right? So check it out. Subscribe. I'll see you guys later. There's no stream Friday unless the Mets win 2 games against the Braves before then, because I need to see what happens. And then Saturday and Sunday, we'll get our streams around the Met games because it is about to be the playoffs. And if we don't knock out the Braves here, I have to worry about all the games. So if they take 2 games from the Braves, stream on Friday. If not, I'll have something recorded for you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Swiggs, thank you for being here. You're always welcome to come on the show whenever you want. And thanks, everybody. Bye. Say bye, Swiggs.
Bye.
All right. Now we gotta do the video of goodbye-ness.
Biggles is here. Hi, says I could be a hooker. Biggles, will your hooker name be Baby?